Well, I think, obviously talking about that yesterday with our guys, and when we first met with them, very, very frustrated by not getting them. Obviously, it's a huge part of everything that we teach, and they know that. We actually got one and then gave it back because of a penalty, which kind of, unfortunately, seemed to be a pattern for the rest of the game. That happened early, and it was a great job stripping the ball. We got the ball, and then we were offsides. So we did not get that takeaway. So kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that, and then that kind of continued with some other big plays. But to me, it's all about, I think even in the first game we got a couple scores, and those are hard to get, but you want to create those opportunities for yourself. And you have to, just like anything else, you just stay with the process, and you just you are frustrated by it. That's not our standard. We're going to not waver on that, just like in practice. Some days we get more than others, and then when we don't get them in practice, we have a penalty for that. And so to reinforce how important it is, obviously the penalty for not getting them on Saturday was not winning the game, So that's why you always want to make it much more difficult in practice on them than the game will be. So obviously, you want to get them. You don't always get them, but we know how critical they are, and it was a great teaching time for our players to realize, when we don't take care of it on one side and then we don't hold our end of the bargain of creating them, it really becomes a total flip in the game. It's very difficult to win games when you don't get them that way, and you're not protecting it on the other side. So that's part of what we do, and we will not waver on that, and our guys understand it. So first thing we did today was a takeaway circuit. So that will continue to be culturally part of what we do. It never is going to change.
In terms of the pass rush, I guess through 3 games, how do you evaluate it, and what needs to happen to get?
Yeah, I think that's another area that we got to continue to address, and it's difficult in early downs if they're going to max protect. That's an age-old challenge. To be able to get that when they're trying to play the run off of it, and then they're keeping in extra guys. But we always talk about too, obviously getting the football, tackling well, but affecting the quarterback, which is pressures, sacks, just making him feel uncomfortable, whether it's even just disguising coverages, stressing him mentally, stressing him physically. And I don't think we did a good job of that. And he had too much time. On third downs, we pressured him, and he made some good throws, but at the same time, he was under duress. It was the earlier downs where we were not able to get as much pressure on him, and then you start going through and evaluating your calls, and even during the game, you're doing that, and at times we would try and use some early down pressures to try and get that, but you'd like to be able to get pressure without having to always blitz, so what we talk with players about, you got to win the one-on-ones. Something we worked on, again today, was just being able to get off those blocks, and that guy's just stepping up. The other thing too is just because you bring a blitz doesn't mean that somebody's gonna come clean. You still got to win one-on-ones, and so it's very seldom do you bring more than they can block, because we don't do a lot of zero blitzes, and so those can be a little risky. So, but at the same time, schematically you want to create those pressures for your guys, and they still got to win. And then we had one there where Niall should have had a sack, and then it's kind of just flipped it right to his buddy and got the first down. It's crazy. In fact, I was cheering for the sack. I thought he had him, and but for some reason that was kind of how things went for us Saturday, unfortunately.
Being disruptive and making them uncomfortable is a direct correlation to takeaways.
There's no question. It all fits together. Yeah, because you watch any film, quarterback's under duress, throw picks, so that's what you got to do. So it all fits together to the scheme of what we're trying to do. So we just got to do a better job.
And defensive line, to have what attributes does he need to have to be able to be an effective pass rusher? Be it strength, quickness, explosive. What do you need? What does that player need to have so he can do that?
Yeah, I think the first of all, there's an explosiveness that a player has to have. We call it twitch. A guy has to have that twitch to be able to burst in his get off initially, and then also to get off blocks. Those are kind of, I would break it down 2 phases. It's the initial get off and then getting off blocks. If you look at all the great pass rushers, they have a tremendous get off. And they're able to ball key it and then get vertical. And then the second thing is, obviously, they're going to block you, unless somebody makes a mistake. And so then you got to be able to use your great technique. And Coach Hagan does a great job working with those guys on their technique. And they got to be able to disengage and then burst. And then the other burst is to the quarterback to finish it off. And then obviously, we have to do a good job of scheming the pressures to where we can attack protections. So those kind of the 3 phases of it in my mind. But as far as just individually, physically, and a big part of that too is just want to. It takes a tremendous amount of effort to rush the passer because it's just a thankless. And you can rush and rush and rush and not quite get there, not quite get there, not quite get there. Then that one time, you just got to keep coming. So it's that relentless mentality, and which also feeds into what we teach and preach with how hard we're going to play. And that's why we want to play more guys up front so they can keep them somewhat fresh, so they can keep pressuring them, keep attacking them, keep bursting to that quarterback. So we got to be able to get more out of those guys up front for sure, because that helps. And even just disrupting, I didn't think we disrupted enough up front. Just not enough, chaos and havoc that was created. I think that as solid as we played at times, I just didn't sense that I really want us to have. Had it at times, but not consistently. He's we're bringing him along, so he obviously had a pretty serious injury and has missed a lot. And also, I think with just the physical piece, that's one component. The other part is just learning the defense too, because he missed the entire spring. And sitting there and watching is one thing, and going out and doing it's completely different. So he's, I think every week gets more and more, and we talked even this week about finding more ways to get him involved. Tony's playing really well, but Chase is a really good player, and I think you'll see him out there more as well.
Michigan State is traditionally a very physical team. They only scored 6 last week, but they scored 36 straight on South Bend. I mean, what have you seen from them on film?
Yeah, I think, watching them this weekend and obviously in the past, and, they have definitely established their identity as an offense, and they're going to be very, very physical with big offensive linemen. That hasn't changed. Running backs back, LJ Scott, and quarterbacks is new, but he's similar to what they kind of have had, and kind of fits that mold. Got some young receivers that kind of fit what they've had. So they got an identity. They know what they want, and that really hasn't changed. The thing that they do, different than a lot of downhill teams that I've gone against is they do so much shifting and jet sweeps, and so they do a lot more than most do that just kind of try. So they kind of get a lot of, as we call it, eye candy to get you distracted horizontally, and at the end of the day, they want to honk it right at you. And then take their shots down the field off that play action. So it's a good system. You study it. They put you in conflicts, and they've done a tremendous job. And we have a lot of respect for their coaching staff and how hard their kids play. So we've got to strap it up and be ready to take that challenge on head on.